Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thanks to Allah SWT for the blessing and merciful. Secondly, I want to say to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for his grateful knowledge to us until now. Today, I want to tell you about my speech with the title "The Great Nation is a nation that the one who upholds moral value." Well, have you ever heard about bullying around you? Corruption, injustice, the lack of respect, not the teacher. Of course, those attitudes disturb our conscience. The worst part is the doer do not feel ashamed to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, what if we have no sense about shame? That means our moral value must be questionable. Remembering new cases are emerging. Then, what is moral value? Well, moral value certainly evolve about various knowledge about value such as honesty, empathy, justice, tolerance, compassion, respectful, and responsibility. It is the earned sense, the process of instilling, developing, and putting good value in someone. Moral education can be interpreted as character education. That means moral education should be instilled in the early age, right? But how the good value can be instilled in the early age? Of course, the family has important role in formation of the child's personal character, because almost half of the day the children stay at home. What the children did, learn and listen were imitated from their parents at home. What maybe like what the children learned was about honesty, good value, and other like that from their people at home. And surely, the support from school and environment mainly blended to strengthen their character. Some questions often appear when the teacher had given the proper curriculum about maybe like moral grades and moral education and society. So are the parents instilling moral value for their children, but contradictory with the environment. What will happen if the children get easily accessible on social media that is not with some content that is not really relevant at all with moral education? We cannot avoid this era. But who shall be the role of model in their next life? For example, when the teacher and parent had talked to their children about honesty, but in the other hand, the children watch some through social media with content that adults commit fraud, joking, corruption, manipulation certificate, and manipulation grade. It is not yet matched with the concerned justice and the lack of empathy. The other example that we can watch through social media is about a student yelling at a teacher with being reprimanded. And the worst part is that the student is not really feel guilty at all to do it, while the student friend were recording it and spreading it to the social media. We can see many examples in social media. Do we still need to ask how important it is moral education? Of course, moral education is very important because this is concerned about the dignity of the self-esteem of a nation. But how do we start to improve the moral of a nation? We came back to the basic, which is family. Instilling moral value can be started from a simple thing. For example, dare to admit lie. I know sometimes a child being dishonest because they are afraid being scolded. But as a good parent, we should evaluate the mistake together in order to make the children realize their mistake and dare to take responsible. And the parent should be given some appreciation to their children if they dare to admit mistake. This will form a child personal character into a honest figure and dare to take responsible. What happened at this time when the parent hand all over the moral education to school? When we know that there were many children stay at home, like the role and communication between these two parties, namely parent and school, must be improved. Child character assessment is not only enough by report card. It must be supported by the fact in the field, especially at home. Has it matched with their daily life? And also, parents should not just happy hearing about the teacher judgment. Why? Because sometimes a character of the children can be different at school and home. Instilling moral value finally is a must. We cannot avoid that this is really important to us. We cannot change the environment, but we can start from our home. We should remember that the dignity of a nation that is one to uphold like a good value, humanity, moral traits, and other like that. Therefore, it is important for all elements for a nation to evaluate moral value for a younger generation, because the younger generation is a successor for a nation. Thank you. My name is Muhammad Alexander Ridwan from SMA Negeri 1 Waters. We'll see you tomorrow all today. We'll see you next time. Adios, amigo. Ciao.